Imagine being trapped in a truck with someone you like, surrounded by a white-out blizzard. You have feelings for each other but neither dares to speak them. Finally, he kisses you, only for you to reject him due to turmoil. Then, he reveals he has no destined mate and has loved you all along. Intriguing, isn't it? Today, let's delve into this bittersweet tale of romance. Chapter 22, Dead in the goddamned bed. The road stretched before us, a pristine canvas of white. As thick snowflakes relentlessly pelted our truck, the blizzard's intensity suggested we'd be stranded for quite some time. Our delivery mission halted by nature's whims. I warned Alpha this delivery was ill-advised today, Alex murmured, his breath creating misty clouds in the frigid air. His words carried a hint of frustration, but his tone remained gentle. I shivered involuntarily, cursing my choice of attire as sweater far too thin for this unexpected Arctic assault. The irony of our situation was lost on me. For weeks, Alex and I had been locked in a silent standoff, each of us making our deliveries solo, existing in parallel but never intersecting. Now fate had conspired to trap us together in this yellow pickup, marooned on a desolate, snow-choked road in the dead of night. It's not all bad, though, Alex said softly, his caring nature shining through despite our recent estrangement. I actually don't mind spending this time with you. Guest. His words sent a flutter through my chest, and I fought the urge to turn and meet his gaze. I knew if I looked into those expressive, mossy eyes, my carefully constructed walls might crumble. Instead, I fixed my attention on the winter wonderland outside, marveling at its harsh beauty while another shiver racked my body. Almost immediately, the truck filled with a comforting aroma of mint and vanilla as Alex draped his warm jacket over my shoulders. Grateful for both the gesture and the barrier it provided, I snuggled into the fabric, savoring its warmth and familiar scent. Thanks, I whispered, my voice barely audible. The silence stretched on, heavy and oppressive. Gone were the days of easy conversation about books or singing along to Headley at the top of our lungs. In their place was this thick, uncomfortable tension, the product of weeks of unresolved feelings and avoided conversations. Desperate to break the ice, I searched for something to say, but with Alex's presence overwhelming my senses, I could only manage to voice one thought beyond his name. These snowflakes are so captivating, I began. They're just drifting from the sky and clinging to whatever they land on. I just really want to go out and step on that and touch fresh snow. My words trailed off as I continued to stare at the mesmerizing depths of the natural work of art. Frigid snow had never looked so intriguing. His deep voice shattered my thoughts. Destiny. The way he spoke my name brought a shiver to me. Despite his warm coat, I'd really like to do that too. But right now, I really want to something else instead. I didn't know why he was whispering, but I was entranced. And what would that be? I whispered back, finally letting my brown eyes meet his green ones. He slowly began to lean in. I blinked. His fingers trailed across the seat and then he laced them through mine. I held them tighter. He closed the distance between us, so close that our noses were touching, so close that his forehead rested gently against mine. There was only one thing missing. Dest, I just really want to kiss you right now. He muttered, go for it. Our lips touched, and in that moment, Earth stopped spinning. Time slowed down just for us as seconds lazily danced by. It was finally happening. The kiss was like magic, incomparable, and so much more than I ever could have dreamed of. His lips felt like the inside of a flower, so sweet. I couldn't get enough. He moved one of his hands that was cupped around my face down to my waist, deepening the kiss. I held on to twist less of his brown hair. I had waited so long for this moment. I never wanted to let go. Suddenly, the wolf inside of me whined. Mate, it killed me to let go and break the kiss. I can't do this. Alex, I stuttered, tears already pooling in my eyes. I've been wanting to do this forever. Why are you pushing me away like this? You've been avoiding me out of nowhere for so long. Is there something wrong with me or something? There was so much pain in his voice, so raw and true. More sobs escaped my throat. Everything was my fault. Alex. No, I said fiercely. I've wanted you for the longest time now. Hell, I needed you. But I can't do this knowing I'm hurting you and your mate. I can't just do this to Lucy. I don't want to be that girl that comes in between to people and Dest. It's just killing me on the inside. Every time I think about it, shut up. I stopped talking. I don't have a mate. He sighed. I sat there, flabbergasted. I didn't know whether I should have been laughing or crying or screaming. I was in total shock. I never found I always assumed she was already mated or dead by now. And Lucy, chef's old muse. Dest. I did love her once and we had our ups and downs, but it never worked out. Besides, I'm turning 21 soon, and there's no point in looking for her or my mate now, when all I've ever wanted is sitting right beside me. No words at all could come out of my mouth. Dest, I've fallen in love with you. Okay. I was speechless. My heart was hammering and even my wolf decided to shut her trap. Oh, okay. I choked out. I couldn't believe any of this. Someone actually loved me. Alex wasn't even mated. But most of all, someone fell in love with me. Alex? I'm so sorry. I exclaimed, leaning into him. He wrapped his arms around me. And in that moment everything was okay. There's so much I need to tell you. He sighed, resting his head against mine. We can talk later. This is too much shock for one day. I said. We can do something else. You know, he whispered. He began to trail kisses from my neck to my lips and I couldn't help but give in to him. I had been craving this. What was one kiss soon turned into a long-awaited make-out session. Wow, I breathed. I heard him chuckle. Hey, Destin. Does this mean you'll move back into my room again? He asked as he outlined the lines on my palm. Yeah, I'll move my stuff whenever. No, I mean like tonight. Just sleep next to me, he said, so we can finish what we started earlier. I punched him in the shoulder. Hard. Alex, we're stranded here in a pickup truck in the middle of the night and that's all you can think about. I snorted, with his arm around my waist. He pulled me in closer and shook his head. You're so cute. Now be quiet so I can call someone to fucking save us. Around half an hour later, some guy with a huge snowplow eventually made it to us and helped us get home. Luckily, he was a wolf from a neighboring pack and he knew how to get to our own pack's hidden mansion. Once we got inside, I stopped by my room to change, not into anything sexy because it's not like I owned anything remotely close to sexy. It was only Alex. HED'ing me and everything. And see, I was just going to sleep, not anything else, y'all purrs. The mansion was silent. Everyone probably asleep. I quietly crept to the third floor and into Alex's room. His bathroom light was on, so I leapt onto his massive bed in my crop top and embraced the calm finesse. My eyes were closed when I heard the bathroom door swing open. Alex, I think I missed your bed more than you. I mumbled into the pillows. Wow, that really hurts. He replied. I opened one of my eyes open and then instantly opened the other, admiring the very pleasant view. A shirtless Alex stood by his closet, with clearly defined back muscles and chiseled abs that made me want to drool. He caught me staring and winked at me. Stare all you want. Dest, you'll get used to this view sooner or later. I didn't say anything as I continued to marvel at his muscles. He walked over and then lied down behind me and Des without clothes his arms around my waist, pulling me into him. But personally, I'd prefer sooner. He crooned in my ear, before nibbling on it lightly. His voice sent shivers down my spine and I turned around to kiss him when a shrill knock came on the door. We both leapt out of the bed and stood up fast. I could see Alex's eyes instantly widen. Quick, get in the bed, he whispered furiously, while I stood there, frozen as a rock. Dest, Get in the goddamned bed, now. I stealthily slipped into the covers, throwing his blanket over my shoulders, inhaling his scent. I stopped breathing when I heard Alpha J Ace's voice. I heard some ruckus. Why were you out of the mansion after curfew? Alpha Jace demanded in his authoritative voice.
I tried my best not to snicker.
Who the hell even said ruckus? Alpha Jace. Alex began apologetically. We got stuck in the blizzard during deliveries, and Mike got us home with his snowplow only around 20 minutes ago. The Alpha was quiet for a moment. All right, but Alexander, may I ask, who was that in your bed? He inquired. I quickly made sure that my breathing resembles that to a sleeping person's. It's just Dest. Alex answered naturally. I believe Destiny is supposed to be in her own room. Downstairs. Alpha J Ace's voice was challenging and cold. I was terrified. I had no clue how casually Alex was talking to him right now. She fell asleep in my truck. She was exhausted as hell. Alex explained. Also, she's kind of my new roommate. You even said we had a shortage of rooms. Now her and Lucy's rooms are free. Alexander. Chilton, you know the rules by now. You can't share a room with someone unless they're family or they're your mate. Destiny is not your mate. Ouch. That stung. What? Just because Destiny's not my fated mate, that means Shess not my mate at all. Alex's anger was seeping through his voice. Shess my fucking mate. Guess. Because I chose her. I didn't even realize that Alex had used the Alpha's first name, because his last sentence kept repeating in my head over and over again. He was serious about me. Serious about us. Of all of the unmated females in the world he could have chosen, he chose me. Damn. I felt like a rare Aspo-Kanan. The second that Alpha Jace left, I crushed Alex into a hug. To my pleasure, he responded by pulling his lips against mine. I had a mate. I was finally wanted by someone. And his name was Alexander North. Chapter 23, Shut the hell up. You perv. When I woke up in the bed the next morning, I had to remind myself that last night was a dreamin', that it really was Alex sleeping next to me, with an arm draped around my waist. I studied his face, taking in his breathtaking features, his defying jaw, his beautifully structured cheekbones, his soft lips, his messy brown hair. I loved everything about him, from his qualities to his laugh to his singing voice to his flaws. I was so in love with the guy who picked up my broken pieces and placed them back together. I watched him take slow, steady breaths. I trailed my fingertips gently, tracing the outline of his lips. I didn't want to ever leave this place. Blinking sleepily, I fell asleep again, my fingertips at his jaw. The next time I woke up, it was because of a shrill knock at the door. I groaned and slowly pulled myself out of the bed, praying that it was the Alpha again. I quickly snagged one of Alex's large T-shirts from his closet, pulling it over my head as the person continued to knock on the door. Oh well, it covered enough. I walked over and finally opened the door and was surprised to see Vivian and Rory. Hey Alexander, do you know where Destiny is? Rory piped up. Vivian elbowed her faster than the speed of light. Rory's eyes wide and in realization, and I could feel both of their gazes trailing me up and down, observing the fact that I was in nothing but Alex's shirt. I watched as Vivian's sharp violet eyes trailed to Alex behind me, sleeping in the large bed. Never mind, Rory whispered awkwardly. Vivian gave me a cunning smile and then softly shut the door, leaving me standing in the room, my face a deeper shade of red than a tomato. Maybe telling people about Alex and I wouldn't be as easy as I thought it was going to be. So you and Alex, Vivian retorted. Over breakfast that morning, I looked down at my waffles and picked around at them. Try not to smile. I failed though, huh? That smile gives it all away. She laughed, elbowing me. Well, it's about time. I guess we all saw it coming. Razzle indadded. We were just waiting until everything finally fell into place. Yeah, there was so much tension between you guys over the past few weeks. We started wondering if we were wrong. Rory explained. with a mouthful of pancakes and syrup dribbling down her chin. She grabbed an napkin and dabbed away it, continuing to speak. But I guess all that tension's gone now. Am I right? She winked. I furrowed my brows. What do you mean? Rory raised her eyebrows a few times and then leaned in. What? Sexual tension. We all burst out in a series composed of gasps and snorting laughter. She was just too much sometimes. All right, let's move on from that topic before Rory makes any more awkward, I exclaimed. Well, yeah. It's hard to believe that Shess going to turn 20 tomorrow when you're already more mature than her. Razzle, Razzle and giggled. Rory gave her a glare. It's hard to believe that you're not 30 yet. She shot back. All right, girls. Tone it down here. Vivian rolled her eyes, with a smile. But speaking of your birthdays, what exactly are we doing? Well, a section. I don't know if you and Destiny know this, but Rose and I have this thing where every year one of us gets to decide what we'll be doing. Rory began. Last year was my turn to choose, and we had this wicked snowboarding party, and then hit up this hella lit nightclub at the city. It was funny to watch Rory enact a story to us. She mentioned and acted out hilarious memories the creep at the club, snowboarding fails, and even Razzle in getting drunk for the first time. Yeah, it was wild, and how about we never mention that story ever again? Razzle inside. Anyways, so I thought we'd go with something more chill this year. I booked the skating rink for the pack and a few close friends tomorrow. And then we'd go to that dessert place afterwards. You're lucky I have a massive sweet tooth, or else I would last for another idea, Rory said. Sounds great. So do you guys know what you'll be wearing? I asked. Actually no, but we're going to the mall later today. Razzle and answered. Well, in that case, I said, reaching into my pocket and pulling out my wallet. I handed the twins each a $1 bill. Unfortunately, I didn't know what to get you guys, so go buy yourself some really nice dresses as an early birthday present from me. Rory didn't hesitate to grab one of the bills and give me an animated smile that matched her bright golden eyes. Rosalind, though, looked unsure. Wow, Destiny, this is I can't. Hey, Rose, if you don't want it, I'll take yours too, Rory chortled. Rosalind mumbled something under her breath and then slowly took the bill from me. Thank you so much. Destiny, she gushed. I waved them off. They were my friends and they deserved to look amazing on their birthdays. Well, they could literally wear trash bags and they would still look hot. All right. I gotta get to work now. I'll see y'all guys later, Vivian said, gathering our plates and putting them in the sink. Me too. Rory, we'll go to the mall at 3. Rosalind announced, strolling away from the kitchen table with Vivian after waving goodbye to us. Hey Rory, if you aren't doing anything right now, can you actually help me move some of my things to the 3rd floor? I asked, getting off of my stool. Oh, it was so fun having your room right next to ours. She pouted. But yeah, of course they'll help. Thanks. Girl, you do realize that now you won't be able to get midnight snacks anymore like you always do. Rory snickered. Shut up. Let's go. I rolled my eyes. This is going to be fun. I've been in this pack house my whole life, and I've never been in Alex's room, she deviously said. Oh boy. After lugging my possessions from the 1st floor to the 3rd floor multiple times, and then organizing them in the room for a good hour or so, Rory and I were exhausted. Thank the Lord. We're finally done. She sighed, flopping onto the huge bed next to me. But damn, I never knew how much of a knee freak your man was. I involuntarily blushed. I would have to get used to the fact that Alex really was my man now. I liked it. And I never knew how freaking comfy this bed was, she exclaimed. Into the pillows. We closed our eyes for a few seconds, before Rory glanced at the pristine white clock on the wall. Shit, it's 2:58. I better go, she said, leaping out of the bed. She shrugged on her coat and boots, then yelled by after dashing out of the room. I laughed. listening to her rushed footsteps down the marble stairwell. The next day, I excitedly got ready for the twins' party. "Death!" Alex yelled through the bathroom door. "Hurry up. We gotta go soon." My makeup was finished, but the short maroon dress that I'd bought last week had yet another zipper at the back. What was it with these things? "Come in and zip this thing." "Fucked," I yelled back, equally as loud. Alex rolled his eyes as he entered the bathroom, but his eyes lit up when he saw me. "You look stunning." "Guessed," he muttered. I smiled shyly. "Just zip up the back." "Idiot." The feeling of déjà vu swept through me when Alex placed his hand on my waist and zipped up the dress. "You remember when you were drunk? You confessed that on my birthday. But you couldn't keep your hands off me," I smirked, watching his expression from the mirror. "That's true. Except now, I can do this," he murmured, before trailing soft kisses up my neck. He began to kiss my jaw and I unconsciously let out a small moan, which made his grip on my waist tighten. "How about we just skip the party?" he whispered in my ear. As tempting as that sounded, I wouldn't miss the twins' party for the world. Shut the hell up. Shut the hell up. You perv. Let's get going," I replied, wriggling free from his grasp. He looked disappointed, so I leaned on my tiptoes to give him a gentle kiss on his cheek. "That's all I get," he groaned. "Unless you want lipstick all over your mouth." "Then yeah," I said, picking up my skates in my hand. "Fine. You elf. Let's go, let's go." He chuckled. "Geez, Alex, not this again." I sighed. "What do you mean?" "Feed us." "Fuck you, Alex," I called out, leaving the room. "Love you too." After skating around the rink with the others from the pack and then got it falling by Alex multiple times, Rory mischievously decided to start a snowball fight. She looked absolutely gorgeous, with her long brown locks curled, which complemented her chrome golden dress. Just wanted to skate with you for the rest of the night." Alex groaned against my forehead. I laughed, and we skated back to the side benches and began unlacing our skates. "How Ray, my favorite lovebirds, doing?" Rory said, popping up from behind us. Alex didn't even flinch while I almost fell off the bench, while pulling on my knee-high leather boots. Without another thought, I scooped up some snow in my hand and chucked it at her. With her fast reflexes, she ducked and then stuck out her tongue at me. "Happy birthday, bitch ass," I yelled out. "Wow, Dest, do you really not want to be my lovebird?" Alex snickered. "No, I really don't," I joked. I leaned to peck him on the lips when a snowball landed right in our face. "Shaw," Rory yelled out, from behind a mound of snow. "Alex, I think we need to join that snowball fight right now." I grinned. "You don't have to ask me twice." He beamed, helping me up. For the rest of the night, we plummeted each other with snowballs. Even Rosal joined too. Eventually, I made sure to hit Vivian, and the way her fiery violet eyes lit up in competition was hilarious. She could have killed everyone with those hits if it weren't for Fox throwing her off. When we all stumbled into the dessert cafe all covered in snow, the employees working didn't look too thrilled. With Rosal and Des' smart thinking and sense of responsibility, Shed already booked out the place for our large group of 30. It was funny how this wasned even a third of the whole pack. After everyone sang happy birthday over a large cheesecake, drinks were passed around and music was blasted through a retro pastel jukebox. Since I was only 18, I made sure to skip the alcohol. I was content life feasting on strawberry cheesecake though. "Hey man, you want some, Baron?" One of the older wolves here strolled over to the booth we were sitting at with a red solo cup in his hand. For a 25-year-old, he had this one softness in his face that allowed people to easily mistake him for a teenager. "No man, I'm good." Alex politely shook his head, and cutting down on the drinks, went air and left. I whispered over in his ear. "Theft says the guy who calls me at 3 a.m. because he was too drunk to drive his own dumb ass home." Okay, that was the first time I had drank in a long time. Alex said. "I know. Him, I replied, offering him some cheesecake. Oh my god. Is Destiny actually sharing her food? What a rare sight. Vivi unsmirked, sliding into the seat across from us with Fox. The fetus is only sharing because she drinks my coffee all the time. Alex winked. Will both of you shut up before I change my mind and devour it myself? I grumbled. But it didn't matter, because a few moments later, Alex had dug in his fork. As Alex and Fox got into a conversation about some other pack, Vivi unslanted toward me and lowered her voice. Hey, look at Rosalind for a sec, she whispered. I craned my head and looked past people dancing to see Rosalind in a short red dress, perching on a stool. But her eyes were brighter than usual and she had this brilliant glow to her face. Wow, she's so pretty. I sighed. Vivi uncleared her throat. No, you idiot. Look who she's talking to. My eyes trailed over to the guy sitting across from her and my eyes widened, to see Gabriel talking to her as if she were the only girl in the room. It was such a weird sight to see Pax player look at a girl that way. He was always the one who flirted with everyone and charmed the unmated ladies, though he was never known to be loyal. HED have a new girlfriend almost every other week, even ones from other packs. It amazed me to see him look at Rosalind as if she were a goddess, but it also made me frown. I think they're mates, Vivian said, observing them intently. I nodded, watching their body language the way Rosalind was faced closely toward him and how her head tilted in a dangerously beautiful way, and how Gabriel was sitting up tall and staring into her eyes. It was bittersweet, but a churning feeling in my stomach washed over me. HES no good for her. Vivian, I whispered. She whipped her head toward me, looking at me as if my hair had just turned purple. Are you crazy? HES her freaking mate, she retorted. HES nothing but trouble. Rosalind could do so much better. She's so mature. Sweet. And no, HES going to break her. I muttered, shaking my head. What the hell? They're mates. Destiny, get that across your thick skull. Why would he ever hurt her? Vivian sneered, as I watched Gabriel's ravenous dark eyes trail over Rosalind. I closed my eyes. It was all too familiar. My head was spinning, like you're either one who got fucking rejected by someone exactly like him. I hissed, trying to fight back the tears. Rosalind didn't deserve that. Hell, no one did. Vivian looked shocked as she stared at me in a whole other way. No one at this pack knew my story, where I came from, or what I'd been through. But I thought you and Alex were, she said quietly. No, we're not. I sputtered, and a burst of pain shot through me. It hurt to remember that Alex and I indeed weren't really mates. I wished so bad that he was. My life would have been so much better. Guessed. What's wrong? Alex faced toward me, concern flooding his green eyes. I didn't say anything. I was so angry yet so sad at the same time. I had to remind myself that not everyone would go through what I did, and not everyone knew that the mating bond wouldn't be flawless. Alex's warm, slender hand slipped through mine. We're going home. All right, he whispered, tracing circles on my hand. Vivian was still speechless. As Alex and I got out of the booth, I kept my head down and we wordlessly slipped out of the loud party. As soon as we got in the truck and the scent of vanilla and mint engulfed me, I broke down in tears. Hey, Alex, was all I could choke out, before another sob erupted. He held onto me tight, and stroked the top of my hair. It's okay, Guest, I'm here. Don't think about him or anything from the past, he murmured in my hair. I know it's hard and you can't keep it in all the time, but I'm here. Okay, you are my mate. I nodded, taking shallow breaths. After a few minutes, he let go of me and started the engine, pulling away from the cafe. The drive home was comfortably quiet. We reached the mansion and parked at the massive back entrance. Snow was falling as Alex helped me out of the car and into the pack house. He didn't let go of my hand until we reached the 3rd floor and into our room. He softly shut the turquoise door behind us, Thanks, Alex, I said quietly. I walked over to the mirror and tried to unpin my hair from the low and loose bun, but my hands trembled. Alex caught sight of my eyes in the mirror and strolled over, standing behind me. He gently put my hands down and began unpinning my hair, letting my dark auburn brown waves of hair tumble down my back. Guest, don't ever let anyone tell you that we're not mates, he whispered. He entwined his fingers in mine and spun me around to face him. With one hand, he tilted my chin up to meet his green eyes. The idiot didn't deserve you, he whispered huskily, his lips hovering merely inches away from mine. I would never dream of hurting you because you mean way too much to me. I slid my hand up to his neck and pulled on his hair, tilting his head closer to mine as I mashed my lips against his. He continued to kiss me as he pushed me toward the wall, pressing his body towards mine. He slid one of his hands from my hips to my waist to my back. His touch was like magic. I love you, Alex, I whispered as I took a breath. His green eyes darkened as he brought his lips to the hollow of my neck, nipping at it lightly. I want to mark you so fucking bad, he groaned. My breathing hitched as he sucked on it, and then began to kiss my lips again. He began railing his hand on my back higher until it reached the zipper. He tugged on it as permission. I nodded through our kiss. He pulled it lower and lower, and I shivered at his touch at my bare back. He slipped off one side from my shoulder, and I tugged at his hair. I pulled him even closer by his tie, and then began unfastening the knot. He kissed me even harder, pulling the other side of my dress off, as I was about to slip off his tie and begin to unfasten his shirt buttons. My cell phone rang. Just ignore it, he hoarsely murmured against my lips. So we let the phone ring until it stopped. I unfastened his buttons slowly and traced my hand over his muscles. Then all of a sudden, there was a knock on the door. Why the fuck do we always get interrupted? Alex breathed heavily, hesitantly letting go of me, and he quickly began refastening his buttons. The knocking continued. I'm coming, Alex called out, trying to keep his voice composed. He opened the door. Someone handed him something, and then Alex shut the door. It's a call for you. He rolled his eyes. I slowly sat down against the wall and grabbed the phone high. I'm kind of busy right now, so if you could call later. Hello, is this you, D? I almost dropped the phone as goosebumps erupted all over my arms. I could feel my face going pale. I began shaking. I ended the call and let the phone slide from my hands. D asked, what happened? Alex crouched down, furrowing his brows, any hint of mischief gone from his face. Alex, I whispered. It was him. Chapter 24. I don't want to sound cheesy. Snow was falling hard and it looked like it was going to stop. Rooftops of houses and buildings were coated in thick layers of it, and the tall evergreen trees were swaying gently in the frigid wind. As Alex drove through the quiet streets back to the pack house, quietly humming to himself, I sighed. This afternoon reminded me of that night Alex and I had first kissed. That night when everything felt right, when I felt as if nothing could go wrong. Boy, was I wrong. But just being enveloped in that feeling made me speak up out of the blue. Alex, can we, not go home yet? I asked, my voice rasping. He shifted lanes and then flitted his green eyes toward me. Sure, but what's bothering you? Guessed. He replied softly. I could tell he was genuinely concerned, and that was the moment I knew that I had to tell him everything before I lost him too. This whole phone call wasn't only filling me with anxiety, but it was affecting him too. And that was one thing that I didn't want. This was my fight and I didn't want to drag him into it. I want to just talk about something, I said. I reached over and squeezed his right hand to assure him that it wasn't about our relationship. To my surprise, he laced his lean fingers through mine and held onto them tight. He continued to drive and we sat there hand in hand, in a comfortable silence. These were the small moments I didn't want to let go of, just us in this truck with snow drifting all around us. As I stared out the window, I realized that we were driving through a forest. It was the one that led to our pack house, though. The trees were much older and the ground felt more inclined. We eventually stopped at a clearing with the trees behind us. and as I looked beyond the window, I realized we were on a cliff overlooking the town beneath us. The truck was a safe distance from the edge, but we were close enough to see the light in houses beginning to flicker on and streetlights glimmering through the snow. Alex. Whoa. This is beautiful. I'm marveled, holding his hand tighter. I think we both needed to just get away. He responded. He let go of my hand and undid his seatbelt to turn away and grab something from the back seats. He revealed a lovely dark teal quilt and urged me to come closer to him. I shifted over next to him and he wrapped the warm quilt around our shoulders and then slipped an arm around my waist. I rested my head against the crook of his neck and closed my eyes for a few seconds before opening them again. I kinda want to stay here forever, but there are also some things I need to get off my chest. I said. Go ahead. No one's stopping you, Alex remarked. It's been for days since he called, and honestly am as confused as you are as to why. I haven't said a lot about him ever since you brought me to this pack 2 years ago. I don't think I ever told you that I got rejected by my best friend. I let out a breath and shivered. It felt weird to finally tell someone just straight out like that. Dest. I don't know what he was thinking, and even though I want to rip his insides out putting you through so much pain, just know that I will never abandon you, Alex murmured. I leaned into him and then stopped. Wait, how do you know that I went through so much pain? Am I that easy to read? I inquired, meeting his eyes in confusion. I had wanted to become a stronger person, not someone filled with pain. Actually, you're surprisingly really good at hiding it. You're always helping others, and damn it, you have this brilliant smile on your face and it gets me every time. But you know, no one else probably notices this, that sometimes you stare off into space and your eyes cloud over and you're just so lost in thought. And even though it's only momentarily, those few seconds of you just getting lost in your mind is so full of emotion, and I can tell something scarring had happened to you. Those days when you had to stay in my room before you had your own. During early morning shift when I would come to pick up the lists, sometimes you'd murmur this one name or some sad strange things in your sleep. It's amazing though how you've kept it inside of you this whole time, Alex explained. I just sat there in complete surprise though. I can't believe he actually cared that much to even remember those things. What had I done to deserve someone like him? Just before you start protesting your sadness, just hear me out. We're both full of these scars and we need to let it all out sometimes. Just say his name and stop holding all of this inside of you. I'm here to listen to you. Okay? I've seen you from your absolute worst to best. I won't judge you, Alex added, so without any hesitation. I let his name roll off of my tongue as light as a feather. His name is Dominic Frozen. There was a point where I loved him, I said. After that, it all just came rushing out of me. I met him when my mom left me at the Dawn Light Breakers pack. You see, my mom had been a wolf, but my dad, he'd been a human. Hence why I have such a human last name and small wolf thighs. The thing is, I always thought that I'd been a normal girl up until I turned 8, and I had tranquilly on the living room floor. My dad was downright terrified and had a abrupt heart attack from the shock. So when he was in the hospital, my mom packed up all of my things and told me she would go to a place where I'd better fit in. I was bewildered and upset and definitely confused. Everything was happening too fast. On the long drive to the pack, my mom told me not to ask questions and said this was the best thing for my dad's health. When we made it there, she didn't even bother to let me inside, but left me outside the door and promised me she'd come back for me. Of course, that was just an empty promise to a scared 8-year-old. I muttered. A lump in my throat formed and I clenched my fists tight, telling myself I wouldn't waste any more tears on her. Dominic was one of the first people to show me around the pack house and teach me everything about being a wolf, since he was the beta's son and all. At the time, we were one of the few kids there and he was only a year older than me, so naturally we became good friends over time. I was still a kid though, and I waited at the window sometimes looking for my mom's car. On many nights, I'd have this recurring nightmare where I would transform and my dad would shriek and then just die. Dominic was the one who would come in the night to wake me up and distract me by telling me stories until dawn. I recalled. my voice becoming quieter. Over time, I forgot how my mom's car looked like and those nightmares rarely came. As I grew up in that pack house, I made more friends and two of my closest girl friends, Amber and Arizona. That place became my home to me, and I was thankful for having Dominic as my best friend. I trailed off, taking a deep breath, preparing myself for bringing back the memories of when I was 16. Guest, Alex suddenly cut in. I realized his arm around me was tight, outside was dark, the snowflakes still drifting. You can skip the whole rejection, no. I want to tell you everything. I just want everything to be clear between us. I told him, caressing his cheek. He held on to that hand. Anyways, on my birthday was when I discovered we were mates. And I had filled myself with these hopeful possibilities of us only to get him to reject me the next day, because he couldn't see himself with someone like me. A few tears helplessly rolled down my cheek and I wiped them away with the edge of my sleeve. It hurt to not be good enough for someone you cared about so much. And that year was hell. All but two of my friends abandoned me. Not only was there so much physical pain, but I had become this loser because I got rejected by this popular beta. It's scary to think about how I'd lost nearly everyone overnight. And that 1 year of feeling so alone can really change a person. No one stopped by to ask me how I might be feeling because it would. I don't know. Damage their reputations. And that hurt. So a year of putting up with all of that bullshit. I got sick of seeing Dominic out there living his life while I was trapped. After the alpha died, he became stronger as a beta and became a whole other person while I was still that one loser.
Damaged by what HED done to me.
I mean, the one person who promised he would never leave me like my mom just became a... I spoke up to him and slapped him across the face. And the one time I finally let it all go. I got kicked out of my fucking pack by the Luna. And then I met you and you turned my life around. I sighed. Aside from the previous tears, I felt uplifted. Like a weight had been removed from my shoulders. Thanks for telling me all of that. Guest. I know that was really hard for you. Alex whispered. He turned to face me and pulled his head toward mine, so that our foreheads were touching. Just remember that isn't ever going to happen again. All right? It'll always be here. I nodded. Now that we're being open to each other, it's about time you learn about my shitty childhood too. Alex began, resting his head back on the seat. He stared ahead at the falling snow and quiet town before speaking. My parents were the alpha and Luna of a pack, making me and my older brother, Hunter, the next alpha and beta. Later, when I was around 11, they died in a war with some of the other wolves in that pack. That left Hunter, who was only 16 at the time, an alpha with barely a pack. He became strong and expanded it though. He constantly fought with me and became obsessed about the pack. When he was 18, he legally kicked me out of the pack, leaving me stranded. Alex's voice became breathy and he chuckled cynically. At the time we were somewhere up north, looking for more members. And that was where HED left me. Luckily, I found the Arctic Lights back and Alpha Jace hesitantly let me stay. Only because I was so young. I became the Omega, of course, because I was the first ever rogue to join the pack. That's why I have a room on the most inconvenient floor, and it's also why Alpha Jace can be such a dick sometimes. So later on, I think I was around 14 or 15. Hunter somehow found out to join the Arctic Lights and made a deal with me. HED let me come back as a beta to his pack if I smuggled in this large quantity of the Arctic Lights freshwater supply to make his wolves stronger. I declined the offer because I would never go back to a brother who'd forgotten about me. So Hunter became angry and threatened his pack. And when Alpha Jace found out, he was mad at me since it kept our trust. But ever since then our packs had been enemies. Alec finished. I'm sorry to hear that, I said, shaking my head, wondering how the world could be so cruel. I don't mean to pry, but why were you at my old alpha's funeral? How the hell could I forget? Alex muttered. Dest, my brother was the alpha of your old pack, the Dawn Might Breakers. My head whipped up. Wait, does that mean? Hunter is dead. And hypothetically, if you were to go back, you'd be the alpha of my old pack. I sputtered in surprise. I couldn't fathom the fact that Alex connected yet so far away this whole time. Yeah, Alex answered, his eyes widening slightly, as if he'd just realized it. Well, well, now what? I said. We call Dominic back later and see what the hell he wants. Actually, no. I'm going to call him, Alex declared. Then we'll see what unfolds after that, and I guess see what we'll do about this whole situation. Hey, Alex, I whispered. Yeah, I don't want to sound cheesy, but no matter what happens, I just want to remind you that I love you, and I still don't know what I've done to deserve you. But it amazes me that you've been correlated with my old pack this whole time, and meeting you has been the best thing that's ever happened to me, I exclaimed. Me to dest. He smiled back and took my chin in his hand and brought my lips to his. And while the snow continued to fall around us and the quilt slid off my shoulders, I was filled with warmth and endless love. No words were needed as Alex and I kissed. We were full of light-hearted sadness and desolate happiness. A chill ran through my spine when he ran one of his hands through my hair and I pulled him closer to me. Whatever was going to happen next would happen, and I knew that Alex wouldn't leave my side. Chapter 25, Your head is on my boobs. My heart was beating uncontrollably fast. I couldn't breathe properly. I was shaking involuntarily. I was about to hear his voice again for the first time in 2 years. And despite the fact that I was in love with someone else, a small, incoherent part of my heart still held room for him. Luckily, I wouldn't be the one who would talk to him because I couldn't think straight. I didn't even trust myself enough to have a proper conversation with him. Even if we were hundreds of miles away, I could only hope that I had the same unthinkable control over him too. I hoped that my name made him tremble. I hoped memories of us together made him scream in pain. Alex's finger hovered over the call symbol on his phone and he met my eyes in a question, as if asking me for the 100th time if I really wanted to do this. Even though we had this conversation many times since last night, whether it was in bed or over breakfast, I still hesitated before I nodded at him. I needed to know what his problem was. The phone was on speaker and the ring seemed to go on for eternity, as if it were mocking my fear. And I could swear that with every second that passed by, regret filled me slowly. My eyes flew open and I clutched Alex's hand when the ring stopped and a voice finally answered. Hello. It was unmistakably Dominic's voice. It was much more refined and deeper than I remembered. The wolf inside of me went hysteric and I felt the need to scream. Alex's green eyes flitted over to mine and he held my hand tighter as if to warn me to stay quiet. He ran his thumb over my hand and I calmed down a little, remembering to breathe. Hi, I'm calling back on behalf of Destiny Evans as the official spokesperson of the Arctic Lights back. Alex replied as clear as possible. I noticed he used the same voice as he did when he was in the coffee shop, serving customers. Apparently Dom bought the whole official spokesperson thing as he spoke a few seconds later. Is Destiny there? I involuntarily gripped onto his hand even tighter when Dominic said my name. My real name. My heart rate sped up again. Sorry, she's unavailable at the moment. Is there a message you'd like to leave? Sir Alex responded. He stroked my hair in comfort as we waited in anticipation. Yeah. Her old pack, the Dawn Light Breakers, have invited her back as respect for the Luna's funeral. Sorry for the late notice as it's in 5 days from now. Alex furrowed his brows and then turned towards me, mouthing the words the Luna's funeral, in utter confusion. Even though I was as perplexed as him, I motioned for him to continue speaking. May I please ask, who exactly is calling? Alex suddenly asked. This is Dominic F.A.L. Brooke. The Alpha, he said, sounding impatient. I almost fell off the bed. Dom was an alpha. He was the alpha. Well, fucking shit. All right. I'll pass on the message to Destiny as soon as possible. Thank you for calling. Goodbye. When Alex ended the call, I held onto both of his hands. Hard. Alex? What the hell? What the actual hell? Dominic is an alpha now. And the Luna's dead. Shit. I don't know what to think. This is Alex placed a gentle hand over my mouth, muffling my words. Dest. Breathe. It's done. It's over. Calm down. Alex instructed. I closed my eyes and tried to relax. Alex slowly pried his hand off my mouth and I moved over on the bed so I was sitting down next to him. He placed a hand on my back to steady me. It's your choice if you want to go back. No one's forcing you to go. Honestly, if you never want to hear from him again, we just block his number and move on. He said. No, I think I'm going. I muttered, thumbing the edge of the bed sheet between my fingers. I might get the chance to see Amber and Arizona again. Though I also want closure with Dominic. That's really brave of you. Dest. You're E18 and can make your own choices. And I know you're trying to be the bigger person here. But it would kill me to see you get hurt by him all over again. Alex sighed, squeezing my shoulder. The dim light of the lamp outlined his features, illuminating his defined jaw and soft lips. His long eyelashes swept over his cheekbones every time he blinked, and I wanted to capture this very second. I swiftly turned around to make sure our room door was closed before leaning in to whisper, That's why you need to mark me. His forest green eyes dark and a few shades and they flitted to my neck. Dest, I want to but. His voice sounded strained and he struggled to form the right words as I leaned in closer. He didn't finish his sentence as he met my lips and kissed me until my head began to spin. I held on to his shirt and ran my hand across his jaw. He turned me over and pinned me against the bed, his lips dangerously close to my collarbone. We were both breathing hard. I could mark you right here and right now. He purred against my skin, and it's hard to control myself around you. He slowly lifted his head up, but still had my wrists pinned on each side of the bed. We've come this far. Together. Dest. And I don't want to lose you. If we wait a few more days until I turn 21, then the mating bond will definitely last. If I try to mark you right now, the chances that the mark will last until tomorrow morning are slim, and I don't want to risk a messed up bond when we can still wait. He trailed a few kisses up from my neck to the corner of my lips. I want everything we have together to last, and I want a strong mating link too. Okay. I nodded. Alex really cared about our relationship. And he was right. It was hard for both of us to hold back. He was also right about being careful about the mating bond. The fact that we weren't predestined mates made it almost impossible for a proper mark to last unless one had 21 older. Too many things in our lives had gone wrong, and we had to make sure that this was not going to be one of them. A few moments later, Alex lowered his head down onto my chest and nuzzled his face into my neck. He closed his eyes and exhaled softly when I combed my fingers through his silky brown hair. I would wait an eternity for him. I'm going to sleep, he murmured, pulling the blanket over us with one hand. Then get off of me. Fucker. I groaned, trying to push his head away. He didn't budge yet and circled me with his arm. You're kind of comfortable. He yawned, shifting his head slightly. I kind of don't care, I muttered, rolling my eyes. I can feel your heartbeat. He chuckled. Can you please turn off the lamp? Well, no shit. Your head is on my boobs, I proclaimed. You have nice boobs, he mumbled sleepily. I could feel my face heat up. Of all the idiots I could have chosen as my mate, it was this one. And now your heart race just sped up. He chuckled. I flicked the side of his head and then turned off the lamp. Shut up, dumbass. I didn't ask you. Nevertheless, I fell asleep with a smile on my face, thankful for the idiot. The next morning, Alex and I were sitting in the kitchen lounge, lazily draped on the sofas sipping steaming hot mugs of black coffee. I stared at the tendrils of steam that oozed out of my dark red mug as Alex went over the details of our upcoming trip. So we'd catch a train in around 2 days, leaving us a night and day before the Luna's funeral. I tried to find a ticket for the day directly before, but since it's on such short notice, all of the seats were booked. Alex clarified. That's fine, because I'd have a day to show you around my hometown. I told him. I then sat up straighter from my slouched position next to him and smiled. I have to take you to this one diner that serves the best iced tea ever. You'd forget about this black coffee in a second. Alex. Theft. Please. I've been drinking black coffee since I was 15. Your crusty iced tea won't do a thing to my addiction. Alex snorted, and proceeded to take a long sip from his mug. Don't you dare call Anna's iced tea crusty. It's legendary. I'm telling you. Also, it'll be like taking a drink from a fountain of heaven since it'll be blisteringly hot there. Will a northerner like you be able to handle it? I smirked, elbowing Alex. He rolled his eyes. Might I remind you that you've been living up north for almost 2 years now? Besides, if you can get used to someone like me, you'll be able to handle the heat in your hometown. Alex snickered. I almost spat out the coffee. Could you just? Before I could finish my sentence, a high-pitched voice squealed from the kitchen entrance. Guessed why? I sat up straighter when I saw young Kate, dashing toward me with her chubby legs and a bright smile on her face. I quickly shoved my mug of coffee and Alex's hand around my shoulder and scooped up Kate in my arms, giving her a hug. The Luna came in behind her, beaming. Kate. I laughed. Good morning, Luna Arcadia. The Luna waved with one hand as she held her newborn son, Dylan, in her other arm. He was nuzzled up sleepily against his mother's shoulder. Lovely to see you, Kate, Alex said. Kate was about to say something to him when suddenly her round golden eyes flitted to the mugs in Alex's hands. She peered into the one closest to me and then scrunched up her nose. Mommy, I think Alexander is drinking black poison again. She whimpered, swiveling her head around to the Luna. Hey, just why? Here's drinking it too. Alex chuckled, indicating to Kate that his arm was around my shoulder and did indeed hold a coffee as well. Kate furrowed her brows. Is Alexander sleeping in your room again? Trolls are not good. Just why? She murmured. Damn right I am. Alex winked, whispering in my ear, but loud enough for the Luna to hear. If I had been drinking the coffee in that second, I definitely would have spat it out again. I elbowed him even harder than before and sighed, while Alex failed to keep in his laughter. I looked up at Luna Arcadia to apologize, yet she was laughing too and gave me knowing glance. Kate, on the other hand, looked absolutely confused. I stroked her red curls and closed my eyes, hoping that Alex would one day shut the hell up for his own sake. Anyways, sorry about that, Luna. Really? Alex chuckled. But Destiny and I were wondering if it's okay if we could take this week off for some personal matters to sort out back at Destiny's hometown. To my relief, Luna Arcadia smiled warmly. Of course, you two have been working so hard on the deliveries and paperwork, and deserve a break. I'll tell Jace tonight, she replied, taking Kate's hand. Thank you so much. Alex grinned. No problem, she said, as Kate waved goodbye to us. Alex squeezed my shoulder comfortingly. It's time to get packing. Dest, he exclaimed, draining my mug of coffee. You know what? I'm going to leave you here if you finish my coffee again. I groaned, grabbing the empty mug out of his hand and disappointingly looked into it. You shouldn't be talking, considering you've been doing that to me for 2 years now, Alex retorted, taking the mug back and standing up to put them in the sink. I stretched out my legs on the now unoccupied sofa. I'm going to miss these sweatpants when we leave. I sighed, admiring the soft gray material. No one's stopping you from wearing them on the train, Alex called out, rinsing some of the dishes. I beamed, glad that Alex was not only my mate, but my best friend as well. Chapter 26, The World Works in Strange Ways. This time when I listened to the familiar soft rhythmic hum of the moving train, my head washed against the hard window, yet instead nestled in the crook of Alex's shoulder. Neither of us were sleeping, yet our eyes were closed, and we were simply sitting next to each other, basking in one another's presence. As I breathed slowly, I couldn't help but smile slightly at Alex's comforting scent of vanilla, with the hint of fresh soap and mint. It had been like this for over an hour now, nothing but calmness. Even though we were heading back to my hometown, it was an actual possibility that I would see Dominic again. None of it mattered when it was just the two of us. "Hey, Dest," Alex softly muttered. I could tell his eyes were still closed him. Look at me, he said. I lifted my eyes open and smiled at him, fighting the urge to poke his dimples. Alex was grinning with this wondrous glint in his forest green eyes. Isn't it just amazing how 2 years ago on this very train we were merely strangers next to each other? He chuckled, shaking his head in disbelief. I placed my hand over his and laced my fingers through his, and to my delight he held on to them tightly. I still think it's one of the best things that's ever happened to me. Just imagine, if I left 5 minutes earlier to become a rogue or anything else that day, and you didn't find me, none of this would have ever happened. I sighed. Well, we're lucky that this isn't your imagination, and that I really did take you on the train where you stole my book. Alex laughed. Hey, did you really expect me of all people to sit still on a train for 8 hours without any sort of entertainment? I argued, nudging him gently. I could feel his chest rumble in silent laughter. I didn't expect you to be the person to be waking up next to in bed, he replied. I knitted my eyebrows as if to ask him, what the hell is that supposed to mean? Okay, Dest, first of all, you were 16 and I was 19, he exclaimed. Well, thank God for past tense. I muttered under my breath. Hush, let me continue. He flicked my cheekbone. Anyways, aside from our noticeable age gap back then, whoever thought that we of all people would become best friends? Nevertheless, Bates, what I'm trying to say is that the world works in strange ways, and sometimes they bring miracles. At the sound of those words, my heart warmed and the butterflies that arrived in my stomach made me feel as if I was falling in love with him again. Alex, you know I'm not about that corny life, but I just want to remind you that every little thing you do or say makes me fall in love with you all over again. Every goddamn time, I admitted, pulling thoughtlessly at a loose string of my sweater. Alex leaned over and wordlessly lifted my chin up with his too slender fingers and planted a tender yet heartfelt kiss to my lips. There are a million things I want to do to you right now, Destiny Evans, but we're on a train, Alex whispered with his crooked smile, his face inches away from mine. I snickered and nodded in agreement. Even though we were in our own small compartment, it still had windows that were clear as day. Alex spread out a soft blanket between us and then rested his head against mine. And this time when we closed our eyes, we fell asleep. After 6 hours of naps, long conversations, and lame jokes, the train finally halted to a stop. I instantly sprang out of my seat and my heart began beating fast as I looked out the window. Momentarily the sky was a bright turquoise. The bright green oak trees danced lightly in the breeze, and the clouds drifted carelessly. No one could ever forget such a sky. I just never thought I'd ever see it again. Finally, I can stretch my legs, groaned Alex behind me. He stood up and stretched. Not all of us are giants, I snorted, picking up my bag and quickly pulling off my sweater to reveal one of Alex's baggy shirts underneath. You stole one of my shirts. Again, he questioned, observing his oversized faded red Coca-Cola shirt on me. I gave him a cheeky smile as I knotted it up to my stomach and adjusted my high-waisted jeans. You might want to take off that denim jacket, bud. This is my town, Alex, meaning it's my turn to show you around, I exclaimed. He rolled his eyes but folded his denim jacket into his bag. He sported a fitted gray shirt which outlined his lean muscle. Are you going to keep checking me out or are we going to get off this train? He teased. On the way out, I made sure to step on his foot accidentally. It was exhilarating walking through the small town, hand in hand with Alex, breathing through the heavy heat. It felt like I had never left. All the small shops and benches and crusty sidewalks were still there as if a day hadn't passed. I felt like a new person though, like a badass somehow. Even though I was just a short, skinny 18-year-old walking next to a ridiculously tall but good-looking guy, gaping at the store windows, I felt good. Halfway through our walk in downtown, I squealed. It's still there. Alex, I said, excitedly. I squeezed his hand and then pulled him into the diner. It was nice, showing Alex around, for once instead of the other way around. As soon as I opened the door and entered, the blast of refreshingly cool air swept through us along with the sweet smell of fresh pancakes as we slid into a booth. I smiled and gazed around the diner, reliving my childhood. Is this the place with the supposedly famous iced tea you were talking about? Alex chuckled, watching me admire the retro interior. I nodded animatedly. Yeah, and trust me, after we eat Donna's pancakes too, you'll never want to go back to IHOP again. These are the realest pancakes you'll ever have. I promised. Now wait here, wait here. I know exactly what to get. I slipped out of the booth and made my way over to the counter. No one was at the front, so I had a moment to notice that the diner was emptier than usual. I then remembered it was still Friday, and that most of the kids and teenagers were out. Sweet Jesus, cried out an extremely loud and chirpy voice which instantly shattered my thoughts. I looked up to see a middle-aged woman with bright red curls bouncing around her shoulders, merely held back by a band headband. Her oval-shaped hazel eyes were wider than usual and her vivid pink lips were shaped into an O. Donna, I yelled back. Donna came running around the counter in her sunny yellow heels and crushed me in a hug. Dee, I cannot believe it is you. She muffled through my hair. When she let go of me for what seemed like an eternity, she trailed her eyes from my head to toes. Golly gee. Dee, you are a woman now. I laughed. And you look as you haven't aged in a day. Donna, I replied. Oh, stop it, you my. Who is that fine hunk of a pineapple over there? She yelped, pointing one of her yellow acrylic nails behind me. I swiveled around to see that she was pointing at an amused Alex, who was strolling up next to me. This hunk of a pineapple here's my boyfriend. I snickered. Alex, though as a witch, was as charming as usual. I'm Alexander Northstar. It's a pleasure to meet you. Destiny's told me a lot about your iced tea. He grinned. If it was possible. Donna's eyes lit up even more. Oh, you are a sweetheart. 1 second, she chirped, bunning back around the counter. Please, take a seat. Kids, she added. Alex and I took seats on the tall stools in front of the counter and gave each other looks. Donna's full of personality. I winked. Well, that's one way to put it. Alex replied. Donna returned with 2 tall glasses of iced tea with her famous striped straws floating joyfully in them, along with a large stack of pancakes drizzled with syrup, chocolate, and whipped cream. It's on the house, she beamed, before either one of us could protest. Donna was already blabbering away. Now wherever did you disappear off to? Honey bun, you're not as colored as before. And where did you get those legs from? Alex almost choked on his pancake. That's a long story, but I met Alexander around 2 years ago and we moved up north together. I explained. The sun's not as harsh up there on my skin as it is here. Oh, I see. You didn't even say goodbye. Dearie. Donna sighed, giving me puppy dog eyes. It was kind of rushed, I said, and totally unplanned. Anyways, Alex interrupted. I smiled at him gratefully. This iced tea is delicious, and these are genuinely the best pancakes I've ever had. Donna smiled bashfully. I'm so glad to hear that. Sugar plum. Dee's awfully lucky to have such a gem like you.
Alexander.
Oh, I remember my 9th ex-husband. She momentarily blinked off into space. Alex quickly tapped his foot against mine and then pointed to his watch. It was almost 7 p.m. already, and we needed to get to the pack house. I cleared my throat. Donna, thank you so much for the wonderful food. I really missed it. I said. It was great talking to you again, but we have to get going. She came to hug me once again. And Alex too. Feel free to come back anytime. Honey bugs, she gushed as we waved goodbye. As soon as we made outside, Alex let out a deep breath. She is a great person. But please tell me that everyone else in this town is a little more normal. I filled in. Oh man. Alex? How would you ever survive without me? Alex stopped me in the middle of a sidewalk to plant a sweet kiss on my lips that tasted like summer and iced tea and everything good. I wouldn't, he said, against my forehead. And as the sun slowly set around us, painting the sky in a beautiful shade of burnt orange escalating into a dark blue, I was smiling like crazy. Now, are you ready to kick some ass? He asked. If you mean alpha ass. Then definitely.